Hi, I'm Wendy and welcome to the Nurses Hub. You can probably hear from my voice that I've got a cold and I have my trusty box of tissues right here and I've been through 1.5 already. So that led me to think, what happens in the body when it gets sick? So there's a thing called the inflammatory response, and that allows the body to send antibodies, platelets, whatever it needs to the area that needs it. So you've probably noticed if you cut yourself or you get a splinter, the area becomes a bit red and angry. Well, that's the inflammatory response, but it's only happening locally. So when you get sick, when you breathe in somebody else's germs, or you touch something and you wipe your nose and you breathe it in that way, you get sick all over your body. It's what we call systemically, so it's throughout your whole body. Then what happens is that the body elicits a body-wide inflammatory response. And so that's when you start getting achy and painy. It's not because you've got a bug, it's because your body's trying to fight the bug. What you're feeling is your body's warfare. And so the more virulent the bug, the more your body will fight it. And so the worse the warfare is going to be. Now, this gets me on to two topics. One of them is vaccination, and please vaccinate your kids. Please have your own regular boosters for influenza. I had influenza A after having the vaccination, so I dread to think what I would have felt like had I not been vaccinated against A and B and the others that are going around. And it knocked me off work for 17 days. That's more than half a month. I couldn't work for more than half a month because of this particular bug. And I'd had the vaccination. At the time I was working in an aged care facility, and people who aren't as fit and strong as I am also contracted it. Unfortunately, I got it from them, not the other way around. Although I suppose that's probably fortunate. I would hate to have given it to any of our vulnerable residents. And some of them died. And it's dreadful. It's dreadful. Please, 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 have your vaccinations. You know, it's not full of mercury. Your own body's mechanisms are not strong enough to fight the bugs that are coming around. So what happens when you have a vaccination is that the body goes into a pretend warfare. It's a bit like the exercises the army does out in the desert. You know, they go and pretend to be in a war. So that's what happened, but it gets them fit for when there is a real war. So I'd had the vaccination. My body was already ready for war. Now, if I'd just contracted the disease and my body wasn't ready for the warfare that was about to ensue, I would have ended up in hospital. I was really very sick, really very sick. When you're lying in bed and you're thinking, it is just too far to the toilet, and I have an ensuite. Older people, and we actually, by being vaccinated, it means that we're actually spreading it less. So it means that less people are actually contracting it, and the people who are contracting it aren't contracting it as severely. And so their illness stage is shorter. And so it means that we're not going to be in contact with people who have cancer, people who have compromised immune systems, babies who are yet to be able to have their vaccinations. And by us being vaccinated, we protect the vulnerable in our community. And part of being an Aussie, I thought, was that we looked after the battler. You know, we looked after the ones that couldn't look after themselves. And this is what immunisation does. It looks after the battler. It looks after the person with cancer. It looks after the little baby. These people's immune systems aren't strong enough to fight the disease, and they will die. So now that I'm off my soapbox, I'll get on to man flu. Now, man flu is a real thing. So have a think about, you know, husband and wife. The wife gets the flu. She still goes and does the shopping and takes the kids to school and, you know, manages a day at work and comes home and does the housework and cooks dinner. The husband catches the same bug and he's in bed dying for 3 days. Now, remember what I said about the inflammatory response being the body's warfare. Now, this is probably a bit unfair, but blokes like to do things bigger and better. And so when a bloke goes to war, he brings the bazooka. So his body is bringing a bazooka to a war that might just need slingshots. But that's how men are built. Men to exactly the same bug that a woman gets, they're going to have a stronger reaction. And so man flu is real. Their body is at war. Whereas we might just be having a bit of an argument with it. Their body is genuinely at war. So, sorry about the rant, but please update all your vaccinations. It's really important. Just as a little aside, Wayne, my late partner, had cancer, and he could have died in an instant. His chemotherapy knocked his white blood cells, which are your immunity, knocked them right to the floor. Anyone on chemotherapy, their white blood cells are through the floor. They can't cope with getting sick. Please protect them. This is another episode from the Nurses Hub. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.